we might have just hit this area at the perfect time where everything is blooming. I think this is the longest we've gone without seeing another human. We haven't seen a single person in almost 3 days.
3 days.
We've got a solar eclipse happening right above us.
After a couple days of R&R in Phoenix, we are finally back off pavement and everyone is behind me airing down their tires.
We're just west of Phoenix and we have 3 days to try and cross the Sonoran Desert, with our goal being to end up in California near Palm Springs. So I think it's about 300 miles. It'll be interesting to see if this route is even passable all the way through, depending on how good the intel that I have is. But we're just gonna have a good time, see what we see out here. We're not in a particular rush. We wanna enjoy ourselves, get to camp early, but excited to see what we see down this road and beyond. Let's find out.
The trail gets a bit rougher up here. Looks like we've got a pretty steep drop into a wash coming up in front of us.
That was a little sketch.
We've been on this trail for probably a couple hours now. Right now we're just picking our way through the desert. We're just in the middle of the desert with these saguaro cactus and these little mountain tops around, and it almost feels like we could go anywhere we want, but we've just got this little 2-track that we're on right now. There have been some good obstacles along this road and it's been entertaining. It's been a little slower going than we thought. I think we thought we were probably be at camp by now.
Yeah, and there's nobody out here.
Yeah, nobody. We haven't seen a single vehicle out here. So yeah, this feels like the kind of trail that you could be on for a few days and not see anyone. So that's always kind of makes for a fun trail. So hopefully we'll get to camp soon.
Good job.
Well, we found a great spot to call camp for our first night in the Sonoran Desert. I'm just blown away by the beauty that's out here. It is such a unique landscape, and all these saguaro cactus just never get old. We're in an area right now that has some nice terrain. We've got a big butte behind us here that we're kind of tucked up in a little bit. So it's really pretty out here, and what a different landscape than what we had just a couple days ago when we were up along the north rim of the Grand Canyon. This is definitely the Arizona desert. It feels like we're in a Western movie right now, and we have not seen a soul all day out here. And I think the further we push west, the more remote we get, the less likely it's gonna be that we see anyone. But we got to camp about an hour ago, and it's funny how at this point in the trip, after like 5 nights of camping, everybody knows their routine. And it's like we roll into camp, nobody says a word, everybody just falls into their routine, gets their camp set up. But what a backdrop. We've got 2 more days of this. We're gonna push deeper into the Sonoran Desert as we work our way towards California. We'll see how far we get. Our plan is rather ambitious, but I'm really excited to see what else is out here and just enjoy this beautiful desert landscape. Just been informed that dinner is ready. We hatched this plan a couple days ago to bring all the comforts of Taco Bell with us into the backcountry. So over here, Connolly and Michelle, they are on tortilla duty. And then over here, Corey has made some of the finest refried beans that you will ever see. And then over here on the scuttle, we've got ground beef and all the accoutrements. We've got salsa, sour cream, cheese, avocado, tortilla chips, the whole thing. This is bougie Taco Bell at its finest. The immaculate double-decker taco. How excited are you about this situation?
I'm so excited for this double-decker Taco Supreme. My favorite.
I catch a lot of grief in the comments of some of my videos because I like to make instant coffee some mornings, and for some reason that just rubs people the wrong way. So I figured I should just lean into it and show you what I use for those of you who actually don't care or think it maybe is a good idea. I use this stuff from a brand called Mount Hagen. It's these little like single serve packet things that look like this. I usually put like 2 of these sticks into my little coffee mug, and it tends to be about the strength that I like. But I've tried a couple different brands of instant coffee. I think this one is my favorite. I'm not sponsored or anything like that, but I don't know, I like it. There's mornings where we know we're just gonna wake up and we gotta break down camp, and we gotta hit the road. I just want coffee. I just want caffeine. And honestly, it tastes like 85% as good as my percolator coffee. So anyway, try it, I guess, or don't, whatever you want. But are you hearing this behind me, by the way? It's so noisy with birds. As soon as the sun came up, it's just like a symphony of birds. It sounds so cool. All through the desert. Not a bad soundtrack to wake up to in the morning, that's for sure.
Everyone has their camps broken down and the trucks loaded up. We're about to hit the trail. I can't wait to see what the rest of the day has to offer. So let's get on the road.
Okay, we're gonna work our our way back to the main road. We're going to follow that for a little bit, and it should take us right past a ghost town, which I'm pretty excited to check out. So that'll be our first stop this morning. The turn off to the ghost town is coming up on our left.
All right, so we're here at Sundad Ghost Town. And I have to say, just walking around for a little bit, I have to say this is a very weird spot. There aren't a whole lot of buildings. You can definitely see areas where it was likely the foundation of a building. And then there's, I think, like, I don't know, an art garden of some sort. There's like piles of glass. Some of them are designed like a heart or a star or eyes. There's a message back there that said to hike naked. So, yeah, there's always weird stuff in the desert.
Like so many other ghost towns in the West, Sundad began as a mining town. Then, in the 1920s, it became a sanitarium for tuberculosis patients. With TB being highly contagious, its remoteness ensured the safety of those in Phoenix, while the dry, warm air would supposedly be beneficial for patients. Either way, it didn't last long, and by the early 1960s, the last resident of Sundad was gone.
The trail splits off into 3 different directions up here, but I only have one on the map, so I'm going to stop and take a look.
What'd you find out?
Well, the trail splits into 3, and there's only one on the map, and so we're trying to figure out which one it is before we commit to going down one and have to turn around. So I think it's the middle one.
A few moments later.
Yeah, this is definitely not the right way. I'm going to back out of here.
Okay.
We just came out of that.
You chose poorly.
Oh, I think I found it. I see tire tracks going through this wash. Hopefully that's a good sign.
Today's a day that there's going to be a total solar eclipse going over the United States. And I just mentioned to Jeff, I'm like, hey, do things look a little different to you?
I kind of actually forgot that today was the day of the solar eclipse, because we're not in the path of the, what do you call it?
Of totality.
We're not in the path of totality, but yeah, kind of interesting to be out here in the middle of the desert during a total solar eclipse, even if it's not necessarily right overhead, but pretty cool. Well, how cool is this? We've got a solar eclipse happening right above us. We just passed the peak of it, and I managed to get just a little bit of it on camera with a filter, so that's pretty cool. And so we decided that now would be a good time to stop for lunch. It's about 11:30, and so Christine is making something that we've been eating almost every day on this trip, and it is courtesy of Michelle over here, who came up with this genius idea. But basically, it's just wraps, it's just a tortilla, it's meat, it's cheese, and it's some lettuce mix, like salad in a bag, and it is just the perfect lunch. So Little lunch spot before we get back on the trail.
Have you ever found yourself on a trail where you experienced pure bliss, where everything came together in a way where, in that moment, you felt there was nowhere else on the planet you'd rather be? As we began an ascent into the mountains, the combination of near perfect trail conditions, jagged peaks, statuesque cactus, and a spring explosion of wildflowers led me to a state of complete and utter joy.
I wasn't expecting this desert to look like this.
Oh man, I am loving all these flowers out here.
Can every trail just be like this? This is like perfect. It's a little bit rocky and technical enough that you got to pay attention, but nothing crazy. And the views, the scenery is just ridiculous.
You know what to do. Where do we go from here? Don't let it rule you. Everything's gonna be alright.
We have made it to camp for the night. Camp is set up right over here, and we are in the Kofa National Wildlife Reserve, and it is absolutely beautiful here. There are cactus of every different type. It's super green. We've got mountains. The clouds are beautiful with some storms passing through, but it's also really, really windy, which you could probably hear right now. I'm sure it's showing on the mic. But tonight, I think, is just going to be one of those nights where we're just going to try and kind of shelter from the wind, make a quick dinner, and kind of survive the night to get back on the trail tomorrow. We were not able to find a campsite that was sheltered, unfortunately, but sometimes that's the way it goes. Our camp stove just blew over, so I got to go deal with that. But yeah, it's beautiful out here. We've not seen another soul since we've been here, which is really nice. And I have to say, the trails out here, they're fun, but they're really rocky, and it makes the going really, really slow. And that's something that I wasn't necessarily expecting. The last couple days, I thought we'd be able to make more progress than we did, but we were really slowed down by the pace of the trails. They are a lot of fun because there are some technical sections. There's a lot of climbing into and out of washes, which is a lot of fun, but it slowed us down considerably. So I don't know how far we're going to make it. This goal of making it all the way into Palm Springs, it's not looking great, but we've still got another day and a half to explore. So we're going to continue to push west and see what we find.
Good morning. It's still windy.
So excited.
Good morning.
It's still windy.
Good morning. It's
Okay, fine, just say it however you want to say it. Good morning. It's still windy. We can't be happy, Jeff says.
Yeah, Jeff says I can't be happy. Good morning. It's still windy. I can't. I'm wearing a silk bag. Good morning. It's clearly still windy. I am living in my silk bag.
Yeah, I think we're all a little bit jealous too, because we're all making fun of the silk bag, but it does such a good job of blocking the wind and keeping you warm. We're all kind of like, man, I wish I had a silk bag right now.
Yeah.
So, but yeah, the wind did not die down like we were hoping, but I think it led to us breaking down camp about as fast as we ever have. It's not even 8 o'clock yet. Everybody's pretty much ready to go. So I think we're gonna hit the trail pretty early here. But wind aside, this is a beautiful campsite. What do you think about where we're at?
I think that this part of the Kofa, what is it?
Kofa National Wildlife Refuge.
Yeah, this is beautiful. We really haven't seen anybody here, and I really feel like we have the entire desert to ourselves.
Yeah, this feels like we are deep in the Arizona desert, and yeah, we haven't seen a soul. It's really, really cool out here. I'm excited to explore today because we got another day in Kofa and another spot to camp. So we'll see how the day treats us, but I think with this wind, it's time to finish packing up the trucks and hit the road.
The area we are in, known as the Kofa National Wildlife Refuge, encompasses over 500,000 acres of land and was established in 1939 to protect desert bighorn sheep. The refuge also happens to include Arizona's second largest wilderness area, and its name comes from a former area gold mine called the King of Arizona Mine. This section of trail is so cool. This might be my favorite section of trail we've done so far. Just the rocky road. We found a little bit of a shelf. We're climbing over these mountains. We're at 2,300 feet. We just crested the top and there's these red rocks and there's cliffs everywhere. This part of the desert is like no other part of the desert I've ever been to. There's so much to look at. It's not what you think of when you think of just like a desolate, dry desert. There's so much going on. There's so much life. Man, this is so much fun, and this road is just like the perfect amount of technical, keep you paying attention, but not too bad. I'm loving everything about this road this morning. This is the Kofa cabin. I think it was built in the 1930s, and now it's open to the public. And so you can come here and camp, and it's first come, first served. There's some fire pits outside, but inside the cabin, they've got cots, they've got chairs, there's even some food that people have left behind, and there's a book you can sign. So if you do stop by, make sure to sign the book. And so we did that, but yeah, kind of a cool little spot. And it's interesting, I haven't seen too many of these old cabins like this where you can actually just come on in and stay. It's not locked or anything like that. And if it was later in the day, maybe we would stay here, but it's only like 10 o'clock. So I don't think we're gonna stay here tonight, but yeah, it's pretty cool that this is out here, and you never know what you're gonna find out in the desert.
Is that a rattlesnake? Looks like just rattlesnake is just sitting here chilling, sunbathing in this wash. Well, that was pretty cool. I guess now we can say we've had the full Arizona desert experience seeing a rattlesnake.
Looks like it's still windy out there.
Yeah, it does. I think we're going to have to try and find a campsite that's sheltered because I don't think any of us want a repeat of last night. That was pretty rough.
A short while later, just after exiting the Kofa wilderness, we found exactly what we were looking for. A stunning campsite, sheltered from the wind by jagged mountains on one side, while saguaro cactuses stretched as far as the eye could see in the other direction. And after nearly 2 weeks on the road, some of us took advantage of the early arrival at camp to catch up on some much needed sleep.
We've been out in the Sonoran Desert now for 3 days. And in that time, there's a number of things that we've noticed, some really cool things out here that I wanted to show you. The first one, you've probably seen this already, we probably mentioned it, but man, the wildflowers out here are just insane. These yellow flowers have just been everywhere out here in the desert. And up here at our campsite, we've got some white flowers, there's some purple flowers hanging out. We might have just hit this area at the perfect time where everything is blooming. If that's the case, then we really lucked out. But the biggest thing about the Sonoran Desert, by far, that you notice when you're driving through, are the saguaro cactus. They're just so dominating in this landscape. And I want to show you this one for a particular reason, because what I have learned about these cactus is that they don't start growing arms until they're like over 100 years old. And so this cactus right here is in all likelihood well over 100 years old, maybe over 200 years old. And these cactus are just incredible. There's little holes carved out of them where it looks like birds have nested, and it's just so fun to see these things as we're driving through the desert. And the other thing about saguaro cactus that I've noticed as we've been out here is that when they die, their skeletons are just incredible. So as an example, this one right here is dead, and then on the ground here is a part of it, and it almost decomposes like a human body, where you can see the skeleton inside. So these wood-like ribs, and they're almost like bones, but they're just crazy, especially when you see them like this and what is inside of them. It's just such an impressive thing. And to be out here and to be surrounded by so many of them just feels like such a special thing. So just been enjoying walking around camp today, since we did get into camp early, and just looking around and taking in the views and checking out the cactus and the wildflowers. Don't want to leave this place, honestly. It's just so incredible out here, and it's just unlike any other desert I've ever been in. It just blows me away. Well, Christine and I wanted to take advantage of our last day in the Sonoran Desert, so we woke up a little early this morning and just decided to go for a little hike and see what we could find.
Yeah, we found a rocky outcropping not too far from camp, and we were joking as we were coming up, cresting over the rocks, that the Sonoran Desert here looks like it's just a factory for saguaro cactus. Like, it's just everywhere as far as the eye can see. It's much more dense on this side than it is the side where we're camping. So it was pretty cool to see.
Yeah, we have cactus over there, but over here they're just everywhere. It's so cool. They're just never-ending sea of saguaro cactus. But yeah, it's just so cool out here. And the other thing we were talking about is how remote we are. This might actually be the longest we've gone. There's also mosquitoes here, so we got these little bracelets on. I don't know if they work, but we're throwing everything we got at it. But we were joking that coming out here, I think this is the longest we've gone without seeing another human. We haven't seen a single person in almost 3 days.
3 days.
And even when we were out at the North Rim, we've been other places that are super remote. It's like you always run into one or two people.
Yeah.
We haven't seen a single person on the trail. We haven't seen a single person camped. We haven't seen a single person stopped. This is super remote, and it's amazing. Honestly, like when I was planning this trip, the Sonoran Desert part, I was kind of like, well, we got to go west to get back home, so we might as well do that. This might be the highlight of the trip for me. I love it out here. It's so cool.
I say this all the time when we go to the desert. I love the desert.
Yeah.
It's so different than home, and it's so much cooler than I think I ever really thought. So.
Yeah, and this desert especially because it's so green and there's so many plants. And right now with the wildflowers blooming, it's just like, man, I just can't get over how beautiful this is.
Yeah, the colors are much more vivid than I think I was ever expecting.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
So we'll be
pretty cool.
back. We definitely didn't get to explore all of this area. And it's funny because originally I was thinking we might be able to get all the way from Phoenix all the way to Palm Springs. And that would be like our route. And we made it like less than halfway because we got into the Sonoran Desert and we were like, we just want to spend all this time here. So yeah, it's cool. It's definitely a spot to come back and explore for sure. But I think as much as I don't want to, I guess we got to go back to camp and start to pack up.
Yeah, get away from these mosquitoes.
Yeah, there's a lot of mosquitoes here. I don't know where they came from. Last night, it was just like random. All of a sudden, It was like, oh, mosquitoes. We haven't seen those in weeks. So maybe there's a spring nearby or something. I don't know where they're coming from.
Yeah,
but
we have no idea where they're coming from, but we haven't seen any.
Mosquitoes are thick up here.
No, they're not thick.
There's just some.
Yeah, there's some.
Yeah.
We've had worse.
Yeah.
Setting off on this final morning of our trip was bittersweet. On one hand, we felt a certain sense of accomplishment, having successfully clocked over 500 miles exploring the remote and rugged landscapes of the American Southwest. On the other hand, we knew that in just a few short hours, we would be back on pavement and on a collision course with the real world, where our email inboxes were likely clogged with hundreds of emails demanding our immediate attention. Best not to think too much about that then, and instead focus on enjoying our remaining time in the backcountry, where rattlesnake encounters had outnumbered those of the humankind. This wraps up what has been a truly remarkable 2-week overland adventure, and we hope you enjoyed watching it just as much as we enjoyed bringing you along with us. And make sure you're subscribed because a big change is coming to the channel soon, and it's one you're not going to want to miss. Thank you so much for watching. Until next time.